In this video, I'm gonna show you how to sketch supercars like a professional designer. These three sketches might look similar to each other, but they are quite different. One is close to the package, the third one is way more artistic and exaggerated, and the one in the middle is basically the middle one. And it's all about the proportions. So first we're gonna talk about the essentials of proportions, and then we're gonna sketch all of them in real time. This is one of the videos that I wish I had when I was a student. The inspiration for this video is a reminder that I got from Instagram a couple days ago. It was showing me like the memories. 5 years ago today you shared this image, and it's basically the behind the scenes of recording my car design sketching course. It's been 5 years, so I'm planning to update the course in this year, before the end of this year. I will put more fresh material, I'm gonna re-record everything. It doesn't mean the course is outdated, the essentials are still the same. There are still new students who are very happy with the course, but I think it's time to make a fresh version of it. So you can go start learning all the essentials if you're a beginner from berkaplan.com. So that was the inspiration. I was like, okay, it's been 5 years since my course. It's time to also make a YouTube video with real-time sketching. Let me give you some more insights about proportions, and let's focus on the supercars. Because why not? They are the most fun, right? Let's go. Before jumping into sketching, we need to understand the proportions of a supercar. Because proportions might be a little bit complex, and it develops by time and practice, I would say. And feedback is also important. And when I was a student, I remember I was getting the feedback of take care of the proportions, change the proportions a little bit, this kind of feedback. And I was like, okay, but what are the proportions exactly? And I realized after years that it doesn't happen just a mathematically correct equation. It's not like that. It depends on each car design, each sketch. The proportions of the sketch is different than proportions of the real car or the 3D model, because it depends on what you want to emphasize. This video is not about proportions, so I will not go into it super detailed, but we have to talk about it because here, for example, we have the Carrera GT. One of my favorite cars. If I had only 3 cars in my garage, I think that would be one of them. At least today, I think that. The general rule, if you've seen some of my videos, I put 3 wheels in between the front and the rear tires. At least depends on the segment, depends on the car. On supercars, also it's true that there's 3 tires can fit. Like if you take the rear wheel, you can put 3 wheels in between. However, the tricky part is on the sketches, depends on the sketch. If you go super creative sketch only for yourself to just capture pure emotions, you can exaggerate way more. You can make the wheels super big. But if it's not a sketch only for yourself, if you want to do design presentation or even share it on social media or on the project process, it's better to balance it a little bit more. But also, you shouldn't do that exactly like taking a photo and following the exact production proportions of a supercar, because then your sketch will look like too robotic, a little bit losing the emotions. What I like to do is imagining the wheels a little bit bigger, kind of like filling up the wheel arch. In that case, the proportions change from 3 wheels to 2.5 in between. Again, it doesn't mean 100% like mathematical equation. You also need to feel it, but it's a good starting point. Okay, I don't want to mumble too much, and I will start sketching soon, but also let's take a quick look on the Murcielago SV, which is also an amazing car, and I have another emotional attachment to it. I think it's coming from childhood or from the young years, and Murcielago was one of the cars. But anyway, if you take a look at this car, you will see the same thing. And I have another example here, which is La Ferrari, again, another masterpiece. So when you compare these 3 cars, you will see the similar proportions, even if they look totally different than each other, different design language, different era, still you can see the similarities on the proportions. So now let's start sketching. Before you ask, let me tell you, these are 2 of my favorite pens. This is the Bic Medium, and this is the Schneider. It doesn't have to be exactly the same pens, but I like the feeling of those, and I think it's a pretty personal thing. And for the paper, I generally use the copy paper, but in this case, right now, I have a sketchbook with me, which has a bit of thicker paper, and it has some texture. I like it, so I'm gonna use this one. Unfortunately, I don't remember how many grams it was. All right, let's start sketching. I will do a side view sketch, and on my paper, I will start by a smaller sketch. That's what I like to do first, because when the sketch is smaller, I think you need less details to make an impact on the sketch, and you can focus on the proportions instead of all the little details. So let's say we have the rear wheel here. 1, 2, 3 wheels, and the front wheel. This is more realistic one. And if we go another one down there, just to compare in a better way. 1, 2, 3, and this one will be a little bit closer, like let's say 2.5. And also on the height of the car, like we can put on the more realistic one something like that. It's still almost 1.5, but on the bottom one we can do definitely 1.5. I didn't even think about the design yet. I just set up the basic proportions here, but let's do something like a big hips here and then like a smaller front, like an Italian car more, or like a front cabin, let's say. Okay, in this case it started to be a Lambo, which is fine. Let's say something like that. Of course, the ground clearance and the rear end of the car. And on the second one, again, this time I will start by the ground clearance. Again, let's do the same. Let's kind of repeat like this bigger hips here and then the thinner front. And the roof line. While sketching, it's hard to look at both of them, but after I make it a bit thicker like this, now let me see. Let's put the rear end and the front end similar. So they are quite similar, but I can see that this one is already more dynamic. It is already more exaggerated, and I think this makes the difference. But let's continue to see more, as this one on the bottom is, I can even make the rear wheel a bit bigger because it's the exaggerated version. And on this one also we can make the rear one a bit bigger, but I will try to stick more to this wheel size proportion thing. So let's start with the more boring one. I feel like automatically I'm fixing some of the proportions while sketching. Like I wanted to make this wheel bigger. And the reason, if you are curious, like why do we have to exaggerate? Like, first of all, we don't have to, but why to exaggerate, why official sketches are generally exaggerated wheels, is to capture the emotions. By changing the proportions, you can make the car look more dynamic, which is kind of like how it works in the real life as well. Like once you focus on something, you kind of see it in a bigger way. Like if you never draw a portrait, and if I ask you to do that, probably you would do the eyes bigger than normal and the forehead smaller than normal, because you don't talk to people like this. You focus on the eyes generally, and that's why in your brain you feel it as a more important element, so you made it bigger. So in a supercar, for example, we make the greenhouse smaller than as it is, and this wheel's proportions help to do that as well. This way you show the more powerful stance of the car, more dynamic approach, and more exaggerated, like aggressive feeling. I mean, the car doesn't have to be aggressive, but as a supercar, the power and the sportiness is quite important, so that's how it helps us. If it's a city car, or if it's an SUV, or if it's a, I don't know, station wagon, it might be different proportions or different things to exaggerate. But in that case, for example, the one on the top already feels like a shy sketch to me. But let's continue a little bit more. Let's say we have an air intake here. Let's do it like a Gallardo. Here's an air intake, and it's enough. If I do the same now here, first of all, like even the wheels here, like I can draw like a 5-spoke, but I'm trying to fit into the circle as it is the more, let's say, the realistic version, and we are trying to fit. But on this one, I can make it bigger. Like I can maybe get even a bit out of the wheel, or I can put the rims on the edge of the wheel. This also helps me be more brave with my sketches. Like I feel more confident, I feel more open to the error, because I'm not trying to be 100% perfect, like following an exact dimensions. So it gives me the flexibility, which generally leads to the creativity and more artistic sketches. And it also helps you to be more loose, more relaxed, And this is most of the time visible on your sketches. Look, even here on the front splitter, I make it more exaggerated, like I make it longer. Here on the rear, I can also maybe do that, or I can exaggerate some different angles. And you can already see the difference. So that's very important. This is the proportions. Like there's a subtle change, but when I was a student and when I see now from students a sketch like this, I'm like, maybe exaggerate the proportions a little bit more. Maybe make it a bit more relaxed. Sketch without like these boundaries that you create to yourself. And this one here, I would say, yeah, that's cool. Like, show me more. So this is subtle difference, but it makes a big impact. And what would be even more exaggerated? When I was a student at Masters in car design, we had a Lamborghini project and designers from Lamborghini were visiting us. And one of them did a sketch live in front of us. It was, I think, first time for me seeing a professional designer from Lambo doing a sketch. And it was like this. He didn't even like, I don't remember, of course, exactly, because it was, I don't know, more than 5, 6, 7 years ago, or even more, 8 years ago. Whatever, that's not important. So I don't remember the whole thing, but let's say it was like quickly spokes like this, and then the roof line, like single line. Or you can see on Mitya Borkart's sketches, like some of them are realistic, some of them are more exaggerated. And here, let's say it was something like that. So this way you can focus on the character lines. Let's say if I want to put an air intake here, like I can even exaggerate it like this. I can say the greenhouse is tiny like that. Here is the front fender, the rear muzzle. And here we go. Like you can focus on the silhouette of the car. You can see the proportions are exaggerated, but it is clearly a Lambo. And you can focus on the character lines. Like this might be a very important feature line of this car. Maybe like I will have a diffuser here and it will be like dark area here. And if you realize this first spokes that I put are even like bigger than the car itself, like it doesn't fit to the fender. But it doesn't matter. I can see, I can capture the emotion, and this sketch is already way more emotional than both of these. And actually even the proportions are better, maybe because I got used to sketching more like this, and now I can maybe make the wheels more fitting into the fender. But the story that I was telling you, this Lambo designer who was showing us the proportions of the sketch, I think his wheels were even bigger than this. So it was not about having the correct production proportions at all. So that's already one sketch. It was very quick, it was very efficient, and if you are just telling an idea, as I said, like it said, double body color Lambo with maybe the front splitter is also connected. So there's like a one line continuously cutting the car in half. Maybe now I can focus like, you know, the PSD methods, proportion, surfaces, and details. So I did the proportions. Now the surfaces can be, maybe I can think about the surfaces like this is a positive surface. Here we also have it. So the volume is going inside and I'm getting more straight. Or maybe here I have another breaking point. And then the next thing, the detail can be, I can put an air intake here, like in the Murcielago. Maybe something like that. And here we go. So if I want to add more details to this sketch, of course I can do it. But I also quite like how it looks. Or we can do like 6 circles here. And this also kind of emphasizes where are the wheels. So here are 3 different sketches. One is quite close to the package, probably. The last one is quite exaggerated, very artistic designer sketch. And the one in the middle is basically the one in the middle. So for beginners, if you're a beginner, if you're learning how to sketch cars, I would probably suggest go more with the one in the middle. So this way you can understand more the proportions, the correct proportions is also important, but also you can get some artistic flavor into it. So if you just print out a photo of a car and then sketch over, your sketches will look like very robotic and very mechanic. If you print an official sketch and sketch over it, it might look like a fake version of an official sketch. So it's better to learn yourself first the proportions, and then slowly you can exaggerate more, depends on the stage of the project. Because sometimes when you get a job, you also just get the package and you need to do very millimetric drawings. Mostly you do it digitally, but still sometimes you will need to respect the package more. Sometimes you will go crazy on a white blank sheet of paper. This actually brings back the topic of my car design sketching course, because there I have templates which are focused on the middle one. They are not like draw over existing car photos, or they are not super exaggerated. They're something in middle that I fine-tuned them, and it was 5 years ago. So it is definitely time to update it, and I will go through all the templates. I will make them very nice proportions, different segments from side views, from perspectives, and I'm gonna record all the lessons from zero. And of course, this update will be for free for the existing students. So you don't need to wait for the updated version. You can already start learning. The course is still up to date. There are still new students who are enjoying the course. It gives you all the basics, all the essentials you need for car design and sketching. But with the update, it will get more fresh and better version. And your thoughts, your feedbacks matter for me. So please write down on the comments, what do you think about this video? What do you think about my courses? I will read them all and see you in the next video.